Hello and welcome if you're new to my channel, and if you're a subscriber, a warm welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the best suitcase brands in the market. And then at the end, I'm going to include a section where I talk about ladies' totes with the trolley sleeve. It's a section that was requested by one of my wonderful subscribers, Rosemary, and I mentioned to her I would include ladies' totes with the trolley sleeve in the suitcase video as well. I'm Anesu Sagonda, and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things. Whether you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on quality under the radar brands, or you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying quality from the get-go, then my content is geared towards you. There are three brands I would like to recommend. Samsonite as my entry-level, mid-tier, mid-lux brand. And then my top two recommendations, Tumi, which is owned by Samsonite, and Briggs and Riley. All three brands are American brands. And I have two suitcases from Samsonite, one from Tumi and one from Briggs and Riley. So I'm very much going to be speaking from my own personal experience with the three brands. The two brands at the top end, Tumi, Briggs and Riley, they very much harken to my whole ethos for my channel, buy better, buy less. These are the very best in the market when it comes to suitcases. They are incredibly well built. They're built well in terms of the material used, the accessories. So for example, the zips, the wheels, the locking mechanisms, for example, are the very best. You will get your money's worth from these suitcases. They are expensive, but you can also buy them from discounted stores, for example, an outlet, or on sale. I know in the past I've spoken about a handbag brand called Coach. I'm going to attach the video above, and I got a lot of flack from people saying Coach is not luxury. It is luxury, but I need to distinguish between the fact that I was referring to Coach Boutique instead of Coach Outlet. And from my understanding, from what my subscribers and commenters have told me, is that in the United States, Coach do make ranges for the outlet that are not as good quality as what they produce for their boutique, for example. So when I talk about Coach, it'll always be with regards to the boutique stock, which is their best. In the same vein, with Tumi, for example, they do sell some of their suitcases in outlet stores, and that's not to say the quality of the suitcases is inferior. It's typically end of production lines, end of the season line, and it's something maybe they've discontinued and replaced with something new, bigger and better, but the quality is still phenomenal. The Tumi suitcase I'm going to talk about in a bit is from a range called Vaporlight, which has since been discontinued, and it's available in outlets in the United States. A fantastic range, I would always say. If you find it, buy it. It's on discount, it's even cheaper, and you're buying into the Tumi goodness. So buying from an outlet is something I still recommend because their outlet stock is not inferior, and it helps save because the bags are expensive, but they are worth every penny. My family has always used Samsonite suitcases. So it's a brand I have grown up always seeing, and by default, it's a brand I've always bought. For the last 30 years, I've always had a Samsonite suitcase within my collection. And it's only as I started getting a little older, a little wiser, maybe a little more discerning, I started to appreciate the merits of other brands like Tumi and Briggs and Riley. But it took me a while to get into Tumi. Initially, I was put off by the weight. Their suitcases are fairly heavy. They literally double the weight of Samsonite. Your small carry-on Samsonites are typically around 2 kilograms, going up to their suitcases weighing maximum of about 4.5–5 kilograms. Whereas Tumi and Briggs and Riley are very similar. They're smaller suitcases. You're looking at about 4–4.5 kilo small suitcases, your carry-on. Whereas the bigger suitcases, the heaviest, you're hitting possibly 10 kilograms. And then coupled with the cost of the suitcases. But over time, I've got to appreciate firsthand the merits of buying from brands like Tumi and Briggs and Riley, because It's a complete product. When you look at the case and then the accessories, everything is built to a very high specification, and you ultimately end up with a suitcase that's very high performing and it'll last a very long time. With Samsonite, I have found consistently over the last 30 years of using Samsonite, their cases are bulletproof. I've never had a problem with the physical case. They don't crack, they don't tear, they don't split. Nothing happens to the case. Where I have problems, it's the accessories. So it might be a wheel breaking, typically airline damage, or in most cases for me, it's been the locking mechanism breaking down. At the moment, I have two suitcases, as I mentioned earlier, from Samsonite, both from the Cosmolite collection, commonly referred to as Sea Light. Sea Light suitcases are made from a material called Curve. It's a patented material by Samsonite. It's their strongest and lightest material. And I specifically bought the Sea Light suitcases, firstly, the small carry-on one, because it's very light, it's small, it's great for trips of between 1 to 3 days. And it'll fit everything very comfortably. Even when it's full to capacity, it's not heavy to physically carry. It's great to pull along, to take onto a flight. It works with any airline. Or if I'm, for example, driving somewhere, throwing it into the boot, or taking a coach or a train, it's a very easy, comfortable suitcase to use. The bigger one, I specifically bought it for work to carry fragile samples, typically dinnerware, glassware I'm taking overseas, and in some cases bringing samples back as well. In all the years that I've been traveling with my Samsonite hard case suitcases, I've never had anything break, touch wood, and that's because the material really protects the contents of my suitcase. But the Sea Light that I currently have, a medium-sized one, second time I used it, I had a problem with the lock. I haven't had it repaired and it's still within warranty. And that's because I typically intertwine an additional lock to make sure my contents are secure. So I've been a little lazy with getting the lock repaired, but that's because I use the additional lock. But I will get it repaired before the warranty runs out. With Samsonite, you're typically getting warranties of about 5 years for most of their products, with the exception, for example, of a range called the Proxys, where you get 10 years manufacturer and airline warranty. And then the Sea Light, you have 10 years manufacturer warranty. So it varies between 10 to 5 years with Samsonite. And then when it comes to cost, when you compare the three brands, for example, Samsonite, the carry-on I have, £300, the medium-sized suitcase is around £500. Whereas equivalent from Tumi, for example, you're looking at their current range, similar to Vaporlight, which, as I've mentioned, has been discontinued. You can now buy it in the outlet stores. The Tigra Light, you're looking at carry-on double the price, around £500. And the suitcase, you're looking at a price of about £1,000. Whereas with Briggs and Riley, their carry-ons are priced in between Tumi and Samsonite. You're looking at about £400, £450, £500. Whereas with their suitcases, the one I have, it's priced at about £700. So Tumi is so Briggs and Riley is smack bang in the middle of Samsonite and Tumi when it comes to prices. And Samsonite is half the price, or Tumi is double the price of Samsonite, but you're literally getting double the amount of quality when it comes to Tumi suitcases. Briggs and Riley and Tumi suitcases are largely made from the same core material. All of Briggs and Riley suitcases are made from ballistic nylon, and the majority of Tumi suitcases are also made from ballistic nylon. But Tumi also produce ranges in polycarbonate, in aluminium, for example, which I'll talk about in a second. But for both brands, it's largely ballistic nylon. Ballistic nylon is an incredibly robust material. You would literally need to take a saw or an axe to the nylon to create any credible damage. Both brands also use zips made by a company called YKK. YKK is a brand I spoke about in the handbag quality video, which I'm going to attach above. YKK is an excellent mid-tier brand that produces zips for some of your top-end brands, whether it's their clothing items, bags, suitcases, for example. And they produce custom zips for both Tumi and also Briggs and Riley. On a number of occasions, I've had to check in my Tumi carry-on because it's simply been too full and heavy to take onto the plane with me. And I've actually had to get someone to help me sit on the suitcase so I can close it. And the suitcase, the zips to me have been under a lot of pressure. And I've thought, by the time I get to London, the zip will have split, teeth separated. But I've arrived, suitcase intact, no sign at all of pressure on the zip. And then both brands also use Hinomoto made spinner wheels. Hinomoto, Japanese brand, very much upholds Japanese craftsmanship. Very similar to what I've spoken about in the home series when I talk about the German craftsmanship. With the Germans, it's all about precision engineering, phenomenal build quality of their products. Japanese, exactly the same. Their product is about reliability, its endurance, its quality, and that's exactly what you get with Hinomoto. Hinomoto produced the first spinner wheels. They introduced spinner wheels to the market. And they also produce the best spinner wheels in the market. Their spinner wheels are incredibly smooth, they're durable, and they're also very quiet in their movement. So you have fantastic accessories for both Tumi, Briggs and Riley, excellent wheels, the zips that they use, and of course, the ballistic nylon. So fantastic products all around to begin with that are incredibly highly performing. Where they differ, well, Briggs and Riley and Tumi, they use the same products, but Briggs and Riley is coming in at a fraction of the price to Tumi, but you're getting the same goodness. What you also get with Briggs and Riley is the brand have introduced lifetime guarantee covering both airline and also manufacturer damage. If something happens to your suitcase, they will repair it or replace the entire suitcase if they can't repair it, free of charge for the entire lifetime of the product. Whereas Tumi, you get with Tumi for the first year, full manufacturer and airline guarantee. They'll repair any issues you get with the bag. And then from the second year to the fifth year, they will only cover manufacturer issues. And then from the sixth year, Tumi will still service the suitcase for you, but they will charge you. You will have to pay for whatever repairs you incur with the brand. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Fraction of the price, you're getting the same good as Tumi. And then on top of that, the lifetime guarantee. So that to me is an absolute decider when it comes to Briggs and Riley. But I'm also drawn to the aesthetic of Briggs and Riley more than I am to the Tumi aesthetic. I really like the look of the bags. I like the olive green suitcase that I have, the medium spinner, which I typically use more for personal trips and long haul trips. What I really like about my medium expandable spinner from Briggs and Riley is that it's one compartment and you can expand that compartment as well. And you have a number of other compartments within the suitcase for you to store other things. And then on the flap side of the suitcase, you have underneath there additional storage space. You have a suit holder, which can also be used for blouses and shirts, for example, and it very neatly folds under. So giving you additional space to hang, to fold things in the suitcase. And for both brands, you can also personalize and have your initials placed on the suitcase. Looking at my Tumi carry-on, it's two halves. One half has the zippable flap, and then the other half is open. A very light, easy to maneuver suitcase. I would compare it to a Porsche, for example. It's fast, it's nippy, it takes corners, it moves about very quickly. It's great when I'm running to catch a flight or whatever it may be. It's very easy to maneuver. Whereas the Briggs and Riley, I have found, is more, it's a weightier product. It feels heavier, but it still glides. It's very smooth. And I would say it's like a Rolls Royce. It's a car, it's a suitcase of status. Very solid, weighted movement that's still smooth and very comfortable to maneuver. So that's my take on those two suitcases. In a few years' time, possibly when I'm done with my Sea Light from Samsonite, I will look at expanding definitely the Briggs and Riley range of cases I have. I'll get a small carry-on, and I'll also get another medium expandable spinner, or possibly a large expandable spinner. But I'm very much focused on Briggs and Riley, a fraction of the price of Tumi. You're getting the same goodness, and then of course the lifetime guarantee on those suitcases. To me, it's like, why would I go for something else? The other thing I just wanted to touch on very briefly is aluminium suitcases. It's something I do get asked, what do you think of aluminium? What would you recommend? Well, firstly, Tumi have an excellent range called 19-degree aluminium. They also have 19-degree polycarbonate and 19-degree aluminium. I would highly recommend that any day, every day when it comes to aluminium. Yes, it's a heavier product, but it's phenomenal in terms of just the build quality of the product. Comparisons in the market, you have Rimowa, for example. You're very much paying the Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy premium, the strong brand equity. It's a product that's more expensive than Tumi. What you get with Rimowa is lighter aluminium. It's a lighter suitcase, but in that lightness, the aluminium has been known to crack, and it also dents incredibly easily. So I'd be more inclined, of course, to recommend 19-degree aluminium from Tumi. The other aluminium range worth getting on your radar is FPM Milano. Beautiful avant-garde designs, but the suitcase is incredibly heavy. You're starting at a weight of about 10 kilograms. If you're somebody who has the additional weight, you're traveling business class, first class, or even private jet, by all means, go for FPM Milano, but it's a very, very heavy product, but with interesting designs. And of course, I would say you have the best alternative, 19-degree aluminium from Tumi. When it comes to ladies' totes with the trolley sleeve, I'd be inclined to recommend totes from the brands that are assured quality, the very best, Tumi and Briggs and Riley. You're going to get totes that are going to perform well, look good, and stand the test of time. Looking at Tumi specifically, they have a range called the Voyager range. There are 3 totes I'd like to recommend. The first is the Everyday Tote, priced at £345. It's made from a lightweight nylon, water-resistant lining on the inside. The second is the Everyday Tote Leather. It's made from leather. It's an elegant tote that looks professional, it looks the part, it looks expensive. It's priced at £425. And then the third is a fairly basic, inexpensive tote, priced at £95. It's made in nylon. You can fold it and put it away and then bring it out when you need it. Very similar to Le Pliage from Longchamp. Flipping over to Briggs and Riley, they have a unisex tote called the Traveler Tote, priced at £200. It's a tote that comes with a big main compartment and then a number of elasticated pockets all around where you can fit numerous things. Contrasting lining on the inside, so it's very easy to pick up items within the bag, see what is what. And then it also has with it the option to monogram the tag on the front of the tote, and you also have a very discreetly tucked away ID tag within the tote. The second is the extra large tote, also priced at £200, comes in the color black. It has one big main compartment. And then the third tote is called the Essential Tote, slightly more expensive, £219. It's part of the Rhapsody collection. Very sleek silhouette, big main compartment with a number of other compartments where you can discreetly tuck away other items. It's made from nylon, and it also has full grain Napa leather handles, so a slightly more elevated look to the tote. I'm going to throw in a couple more brands for a bit of variety. The first is an Italian suitcase brand called Brics. Brics is known for producing pretty suitcases, pretty luggage. Pretty luggage from Brics, practical luggage from Briggs and Riley. I'd like to recommend 2 of their holdalls. Their holdalls come made in a synthetic material, one that mimics leather and the other mimics suede, in beautiful sumptuous colors, a tan color and then also an olive color. So with Brics, you're very much buying pretty totes, pretty luggage. And their totes are priced around the £300 mark. And then the final recommendation is a brand called Knomo London. It's a brand I've been watching for a few months. Unfortunately, they closed their only store in London around pandemic time. And they have concessions, one in Selfridges, John Lewis. I've seen one in Case Luggage, for example. And they have two totes, similar in terms of the aesthetic. One is made from nylon, priced at £200. And the second is made from leather, priced at £300. Around 15 inches in height. And it has a pouch for your laptop and then space for you to put in shoes and other things you may want to take as carry-on luggage. But it's an interesting brand I like. It's unfortunate they've closed and there isn't a lot of stock. They also have an online store, but availability can be a bit patchy, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's a brand I liked and would recommend, but I think they're going through teething problems at the moment, and hopefully they'll come out bigger, better and stronger on the other end. But that's a solid selection of brands. When it comes to suitcases, it comes to totes, focus is very much on quality, buy better, buy less. When you travel, it's very much like what I've said about luxury and how when you have money, it should touch every aspect of your life. With travel, everything needs to come together very well. Where you go on holiday, how you go on holiday, and of course the suitcases, they all add to the overall enjoyment of the entire experience. Any other questions, Rosemary? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope I've given you a couple of ideas of options. Anything else, let me know in the comments and I'll be more than happy to answer. And to the rest of my subscribers and viewers, thank you for watching as always, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.